such a feeling coming over me. There is wonder in most everything I see. Not a cloud in the sky, got the sun in my eyes, and I won't be surprised if it's a dream. Everything I want the world to be is not coming true, especially for me. And the reason is clear, it's because you are here. You're the nearest thing to heaven that I live. I'm on the top of the world looking down on creation, and the only explanation I can find is the love that I found. You've been around me.
Are you there? Sounds like the UFO is landing. Boop, 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 boop. Oh my God. That's cute. I think you got feedback.
Oh, no.
You got to figure it out there, girl. I think you have two phones going. You have to shut one off.
There we go.
Oh. That was cool. That was cool. I like it. I like it. 2 thumbs up. 5 stars.
Oh, welcome to Earth, Janet. Okay, hello, everybody.
Good landing.
Oh, my God, because I was like, this is not happening. Lately, folks, it's been a while since I've been running the board, so I apologize. My bad. Oh, Lord.
That was good. We should record that special effect for the movie we're going to make someday.
I was looking at the button. Where is it? What is it? Oh, well. Oh, Lord. Okay, everybody. Hi, I'm so apologetic about that strange beginning, but I'm in Gulf Breeze, which is a mecca for UFO people that like to look for UFOs at night. We have a lot of beautiful things. I've had a couple over my house since I've moved here, just lights, and they don't blink, and they just sit there in space. And they were right next to each other, big white lights. But we're going to talk about alien contact experiences, and we may even start with our sightings and work into how we feel we've been contacted, because Janet Carroll Lessin's here with me from Maui, Hawaii, and she and I have a long history. Long history. How we can help others with their long history, or if you have one, back to ancient times. We do ancient history and New Thought teachings and the Ascension Age, and I have AscensionPsychic.com, and she has AscensionCenter.net, and we also have Alien Contact Organization, and I have AlienContact.org. She has Alien Contact Organization spelled out with .com after it. I have the abbreviated version, AlienCon.org. So we're going to introduce ourselves. I'll put in this beginning here. Janet, you want to introduce yourself, or you want me to read this beginning? You go ahead and introduce yourself, because we're going to also be on your show, Aquarian Radio.
You can do your beginning if you want. We've been doing this for a long time. I'm Janet Carroll Lessin, and I'm a Contact the Experiencer author. What do? We do websites and radio shows, and we did a conference, do conference speakers, and we just keep doing all this stuff. Life is very interesting, and I'm going to turn 65 February 6th, which is Bob Marley's birthday, and Ronald Reagan, which is a good friend of TJ's. She knew him when he was alive. What's that?
And my grandmother that died many years ago. Her name was Sarah Bolton. Yeah, she was my grandmother, and I loved her. I wouldn't be the person I am today without her. So I think that's sort of cool that you were born on my grandmother's birthday too. She was the sweetest person I ever knew. Nice lady.
Nice lady. Well, that's good. You got to have a nice relationship with your grandmother. Yeah. I only had one grandmother. My other grandmother died. The story was that she had this cancer the size of a football in her stomach, and it was inoperable, and she was dying. My mother was pregnant with me, and my mother couldn't tell her. I don't know why she couldn't tell her mother she was pregnant with me. Maybe her mother didn't want her to have a third child, but I don't know. Anyway, she never got to tell Grandma. So when I was born, Grandma would come and stand at the foot of my bed. and I would see this woman standing at the foot of my bed. At first, I didn't know what was that. Is that real or not? And then finally, I saw a picture of Grandma. And I said, oh, that's the lady that stands at my foot of my bed and watches over me. So she must have been my guardian and really curious about me and taking care of me. And then one day my mother was holding me, and she looked at me and she said, I think you're the reincarnation of my mother. But I remember looking at her, nah, I'm not your mother. I'm not I just got to know on that. But I didn't express it. I just let her have her fantasy. I know she loved her mother very, very much. Oh, and then that mother used to come into the house, and I would come up from behind my mother, and she's talking to somebody, you know. She's in her bedroom or in the other room, and I come up behind her, and I would come very quietly, and I watch my mother talking to this lady over in the corner, like on the other side of her. And she's having this full-on conversation. This is in broad daylight. And I'd go, wow, she's able to bring her mother through and have a real conversation with her. So anyway, that's how I started. That's one of my beginning stories. What about you, TJ? Do you see ghosts?
My grandmother had the gift. Now, not the one I was talking about, Sarah Esther Richmond, that was my mother's mother, but Sarah Elizabeth. Both my grandmothers were Sarahs. Interesting. But wow. Sarah Elizabeth Thurmond, Thurmond, she, my mother would talk about her talking to people, but I would go up to her and ask her because she would talk to people, and whether it was day or night, sometimes.
Right.
And she was just as normal as you or me, but she could, if she thought we were watching TV or something, she would go over and somebody would be standing at the window in her mind anyway, and she would talk to them. One day I walked up to her and said, Grandma, who are you talking to? And she told me the name and introduced me, and I was like, hi, how are you? And of course, I don't think I saw anybody, but I felt a little odd, but then I said, okay, well, I'm going to go sit back down because she did it quite often. But, I remember being probably 5 or 7 watching her and talking to her, but she did that her whole life until she died. So, but my father and mother just didn't mention it much, and we never talked about it. So
that's funny. That's funny.
It is funny.
So your grandmother was open about talking, and your relative, your mother, everybody knew that she did that, but you just didn't talk about it. Didn't shame her, didn't make her wrong or bad. Now, my mother felt embarrassed, ashamed that if you said, and I did make that mistake, Mom, who were you talking to? I saw this lady in the room with you, right? You know? And, she would get so angry. But she probably got shamed for being a psychic and able to talk to her mother. Probably somebody shamed her. But my brother, I thought, well, maybe I'm nuts, because you always had that when you have something paranormal, then years go by and you go, what, is that real? Is that really real? Nobody else having these experiences, right? Because nobody's talking about it. And then finally I talked to my brother, And I thought I was having he said, oh, no, the piano would play by itself. I saw Mom talking to her mother all the time, so I think my mother was even more open. Well, my brother's 7 years older than me, so she was even more open about that. But by the time I came along, there was a lot of shaming about her psychic abilities, so she got really embarrassed when she would get busted talking to her mom. So I never shamed her about it. I just go, okay, she's talking to her mom. Fascinating, because I could somehow she was bringing.
If we talked to her,
what's that?
She quit a couple of times. If we interrupted her, she'd just put her chair back and move it back to the table and walk away with her head up, just like she would just. If we bugged her about it, I went up to her, but I just happen to remember that one time. I really did want to, I don't know for that one time, but I'm just saying that a couple of times if me or the other kids would say, Grandma, she would just quit and put her chair back, at the table and go about her business and just quit, in other words. She wouldn't say a word.
Uh-huh.
She'd just quit. She did not like she'd been caught or anything, or she'd say, I have to go or something, but she'd dismiss this conversation and just, she didn't want to bother the children with it. She usually did it when we thought we were preoccupied, but it seemed to be if we came up that she would quit, you know what I mean? So she was aware of, she didn't like us interrupting her, so, but I wouldn't say that she got mad. She just quit.
She quit. She was annoyed.
Yours would have a anger issue about it. Quitting your mother?
I think she was embarrassed, and then later with me, she would have I don't know what she was feeling, but it was very uncomfortable to talk to her about it, like shame, embarrassment. Yeah, and I would never push it, but I guess if I would have pushed it, she would have gone into anger. But my mother was an angry person. She was a very frightened and angry person, and so she probably was, and I don't know, she was probably undiagnosed schizophrenic, or this whole thing of being able to see ghosts and living in a world where that wasn't acceptable. Her religion was very much against anything. There was a biblical thing she would quote me, there's something in the Bible, if you're talking to spirits or something, it was the devil, it was satanic. So she was very superstitious like that. She was into exactly what the Bible said about the negativity and Satanism, and I don't know. She's Presbyterian. I thought that was pretty middle of the road. What's that?
Let's start with how our family seemed to have gifts. My mother could tell, was very concerned in her 30s because she could tell when she'd get a premonition. She was like a precog when airplanes would fall. I don't know why, and they would. Yeah, so our tornadoes were coming before anybody knew it or it was on the news, and she knew something was coming, and she called it a cyclone or tornado in Louisiana. But I remember that. And then, you'd go and she'd turn on the TV, start listening for news. But she could predict weather or airplane crashes, and even in Houston when we moved there. But she did not believe in UFOs. She didn't believe in alien contact. She'd say, now, Jan, I don't believe in that. She always called me Jan my entire life.
Uh-huh.
And Jeanette, because she was Theresa and I was Jan. And
right.
if she was mad at me, she'd call me Theresa Janet. And I knew I was in trouble. But she named me Janette, Janette. Yours is Janet,
uh-huh.
Janet. But
right.
my dad would always call me Theresa Janet. And Mother said Janet was his girlfriend, one of his girlfriends, because she said, what do you want to name her? Because she named me after her, Theresa, or somebody did, her mother. And he said, well, he told me, I said, how did I get that name? He says, well, we couldn't think of any names. And she asked me, and that's the name I came up with. So it wasn't like a big thing back then.